And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, you know, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
Bill Maher just tore into Zohran Mamdani, and it was pure entertainment. The late-night firebrand mocked the New York lawmaker's ultra-progressive agenda, calling his win a free campaign ad for conservatives. Maher's takedown was sharp, fast, and hilarious, the kind of chaos you don't want to miss.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's, you know, Bernie is,
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is, I mean, he's not a capitalist, you know?
No, he's not. And he's also not president.
He's not, but
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people, they boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Maher's not wrong. Republicans don't need to invent a boogeyman when Zohran Mamdani does it himself every time he speaks. With Mamdani eyeing a New York mayoral win, critics say his rise would be a political gift to the GOP, proof that Democrats have drifted into fantasy land. Mamdani calls himself a democratic socialist, but that only reassures his own crowd. Maher's take? Mamdani represents the starry-eyed idealism that sounds noble, but hands conservatives their best ammo.
It'd be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight-up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, you know, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah.
At first glance, the pitch gleams with utopian shine, full of warm promises and applause-worthy ideals. But tug at the seams, and that glow fades fast. What looks like progress soon starts to resemble the same old socialist experiments that collapsed before. History's cold rear and dressed up as hope once again.
I think every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't be a mess.
Exactly. Socialist experiments have crashed so many times that most people treat the ideology like a hot stove. Once burned, twice shy. The exception? Younger generations dazzled by promises of fairness and free-for-all futures. But the flaw isn't greed. It's human nature. People need challenge, reward, and the freedom to turn ideas into progress. Remove that, and ambition dies. Bureaucracy swells, efficiency collapses, and equality turns into shared disappointment. Mamdani's grand plans may sound noble on paper, but in practice, they'd smother the very drive that makes prosperity possible.
When the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both.
Exactly. Britain's experiment with socialism became a cautionary tale. What began as a noble push for equality turned into decades of decline. State control strangled innovation, industries withered under bureaucracy, and the nation's promise of fairness ended in shared hardship. By the 1970s, Britain was dubbed the sick man of Europe. Only when Thatcher's market reforms unleashed competition and individual drive did the country revive. The lesson was clear. When governments try to guarantee prosperity through control, they often end up guaranteeing failure instead.
Plus New Yorkers, beyond saying that we're going to establish an office of LGBTQIA+ affairs, is also that we're going to provide $65 million in funding for gender-affirming care, the same amount of funding that the federal government was threatened to pull out from local providers for that kind of work.
Exactly. Maher sees Zohran Mamdani as a walking warning sign for Democrats. By charging headfirst into culture war territory, especially around hot-button issues like gender policy, Mamdani risks handing Republicans an easy win. To Maher, this isn't courage, it's political self-sabotage. Swing voters don't want ideology, they want stability, safety, and sanity. Every time Democrats elevate figures who sound more like activists than problem solvers, they push moderates straight into GOP arms. Maher's message is blunt. Keep chasing purity tests, and the party won't just lose elections, it'll lose the middle of America entirely.
Back to you personally and publicly like this.
He's not a socialist. He's a communist, okay? This is not a socialist, man. This is a communist.
I don't like to see a communist become mayor, I will tell you that.
I call him my little communist. He's my little communist mayor. We should never be in a position where we're talking about a communist.
We're going to end up with a communist mayor. It's not even believable, my beautiful New York. I think if a communist takes over New York City, I think that's a gift to the Republican Party.
Exactly. Maher doesn't even have to exaggerate. Mamdani's own ideas do the heavy lifting. Government-run grocery stores and free transit might sound compassionate, but to many Americans, they scream, state control. It's political déjà vu. Another round of grand socialist promises that ignore cost, efficiency, and human nature. Maher's point is clear. Every time Democrats embrace these utopian schemes, they hand Trump a megaphone. The optics write themselves, the left trading freedom for freebies. And in politics, perception often hits harder than policy.
This vision of democratic socialism, it's one that often comes back to what Martin Luther King said decades ago. A vision of, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, there must be a better distribution of wealth for all of God's children in this country. Here in New York City, wealthiest city in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, 1 in 4 are in poverty. 500,000 kids go to sleep hungry every night. It's untenable to live with this kind of a divide. We have to actually have a politics that puts working people first.
When you look closer, Mamdani's pitch isn't revolutionary. It's recycled idealism in a new wrapper. Promises of fairness and equality sound inspiring, but history shows where that road leads. Stagnation, overreach, and lost ambition. The pattern's always the same. Big dreams, then bureaucratic chokeholds. America's success was built on freedom, not regulation. Mamdani's vision risks turning that energy into dependency. Maher, sharp as ever, spots the déjà vu instantly and warns that this movie's ending never changes.
Speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Well, it wasn't so much his aunt as his dad's cousin, but, semantics. Douglas, is he ready to lead?
No, in absolutely no way is he ready to lead, and that was just another reminder of it. This is such a self-involved little narcissist with so little going for him.
That's the familiar playbook. Craft emotional stories, sprinkle in virtue, and sell sentiment as progress. Zohran Mamdani fits it perfectly. A symbol of empathy and reform wrapped in polished rhetoric. The media will celebrate him as a moral visionary, but look closer, and it's all theater, moving, eloquent yet hollow. His narrative tugs hearts, not minds. To realists, it's not leadership, it's performance dressed as purpose.
He decides to turn the memory of 9/11 and the 3,000 Americans of that day into a story about his aunt and the subway. It's interesting, like so many things that this smarmy candidate does, he makes it about himself and it all turns out to be untrue anyway. It seems to the extent that he had any such aunt in question, She wasn't in New York at the time, and in any case, didn't wear the headscarf.
It's the same old playbook. Emotional stories sold as progress. Zohran Mamdani plays the part well. Polished, empathetic, and hollow. The media hails him as a visionary, but it's not leadership. It's theater dressed as purpose.